we start today's session with the four of you traveling in like an air-conditioned bus to the space center. You have been training for a mission for the last 18 months. And you have get to know each other. I assume that the atmosphere is more or less friendly, and probably there's some excitement and anxiety about the mission. You have been training for a repair mission, but for some reason the details about the mission were a bit vague. So when the four of you sit in the bus to the space center, let's introduce our characters really quickly. What do we see? What is their demeanor? Let's start with Lieutenant Colonel Mike Spey.
He's a man in his like late 40s, and he's military through and through. He no longer has the buzz cut that he used to have in the Air Force, but straight back, steel flinty eyes, exactly what you'd expect of an astronaut.
And are you joking with the others, or are you keeping your distance?
I think it's joking in that sort of like slightly paternalistic way. You know what I mean? Like sort of like, oh, like make sure you keep things straight. Nice one, pal. Like good work, buddy. But not actually like, from that sort of like slight level above you kind of thing, rather than peer level kind of thing.
And then there's also the flight sergeant, Deirdre Martin. What do we see? How does she look like, and what is her like? How does she act?
She has kind of dirty blonde hair and a bob, tied back at this point. And as Mike goes around saying, "Good job, buddy," and in using like little terms of affection like that, she turns to him and coldly says, "My name is Deirdre Martin. You can call me D. You can call me Martin. You can call me Doctor. I am not buddy, ace, champ, or anything else."
And Lieutenant Spey says, "Yes, Surgeon Martin, we went over this 6 months ago when we started training. I thought you might have warmed up by now, but while we're at it, you can salute."
I look at you coldly and give you the sloppiest salute you've ever seen.
And you can sit down. You're dismissed. Guys, hope you're doing well.
And then there's also Major Dirk McMillan.
Yeah, Dirk is, I think, not the most social guy. He's been kind of like keeping to himself in training, but he's from the he was recruited out of the Air Force. So he has a very military bearing compared to some of the civilian trainees. He still keeps his hair buzzed. He's taking this very much as a job. And not so much as a fun experience, even though he doesn't enjoy it. So he just seems very serious, right? Just straight backed, always at attention.
So Major McMillan wouldn't mingle with the others. Like he would sit silently in the bus on the way to.
Yeah, he has headphones on and he's like flipping through his notes and he.
Okay, cool. So it's not a really jolly atmosphere at the moment. Deirdre and Lieutenant Colonel Spey aren't that friendly towards each other. Dirk keeps his distance. What about Lieutenant Luke Belton?
I'd say Luke Belton has got maybe sort of like a nervous energy to him. He's always wearing a smile, but it's, folks have been around him long enough that it's this empty sort of hollow smile. I'm kind of trying to channel, if you've seen, young photos of Nicolas Cage, he's always kind of Yes. Yeah. Just sort of deep penetrating eyes and just, kind of a, meaningless smile. I hate to be so critical, but yeah, I think when he sees Lieutenant Colonel Mike Spey, it's, hey, oh, buddy. And again, it's just sort of exuding this kind of uncomfortable, nervous energy. Yeah.
And it's like a smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes, and a strong handshake that maybe crunches a little bit to the end of it. And
it's a little bit of a sweaty palm. Yeah.
Yeah. And I pat you on the shoulder and I hand you a cup of coffee. And I say, well, ready to hit the air again, Belton?
Oh, yeah. I'm just so honored to be with you and Major Dirk McMillan and Deirdre. Such a auspicious moment. I'm just...
Well, I think in the interests of removing our formality, you can either refer, those of you who wish to use formality can refer to me as Commander. For the rest of the time, you're welcome to call me Mike or Spey.
Of course, yeah, absolutely, all the time. Yeah, sorry about it.
No problem, Belton. It's fine. Dirk, you okay with Dirk? Or do you want your rank still?
Dirk doesn't hear you because he has his headphones on.
Yeah.
And he's, he's still just going through his flight manual on the bus.
Yeah, well, and then I look at Dr. Martin and I say, Dr. Martin, are we going to go into space with zero vacuum? What's it called? Absolute zero? Or should we warm things up a bit before we get up there?
Commander, I just like it when people call me by my name.
So Deirdre,
Martin.
Deirdre. Okay, Martin.
You don't need to call me by my rank or anything like that. Just, I appreciate it when people use my name.
Okay, Martin. Now.
Thank you.
Let's leave all of this on the bus. When we go in there, and when Dirk takes his headphones out of his goddamn ears, we're going to be a team.
Must be listening to a bop.
He likes ska, from what I remember. Anyways,
So,
I think he's listening to Hanson.
Yeah, I think we're done with the bus scene, anyways, right?
yes.
Yeah.
You arrive at the space station in a conference center, and you see a familiar face and 3 unfamiliar faces. The familiar face that you see is the administrator, NASA administrator, Paul Scalzo. You know him from your training. He did all the briefings. There's another man beside him, and they are in discussion. By the way, you can, on the character keeper, I have put some images of the NPCs. So Paul Scalzo is the smiling man on the right, and Eduardo is completely right. They always have to smile. If they are astronauts, it's forbidden to not smile. The other person that he's in discussion with is somebody that you have seen before, but he dropped into your training, he was always standing some feet apart watching you, and you know his face, and you might even remember his name, that he's Colonel Woolridge. But you don't know anything about him. And then there are 2 completely unfamiliar faces. They don't look like astronauts. In fact, they don't look as if they are fit for any kind of mission. One of them is an older gentleman. He's in his 60s. He's pretty short and thin, with graying hair. And the other one is definitely overweight and maybe in his late 40s. Scalzo approaches you, gives you all like a firm handshake and smiles, salutes Lieutenant Colonel Spey, and introduces Colonel Woolridge and says, for the next mission, Colonel Woolridge will be in command. I don't have clearance for the mission, and Colonel Woolridge will inform you about all the details. And then Scalzi leaves the room. You can also see that the two gentlemen have unadorned spacesuits. They have no insignia other than the NASA one. They don't seem to have a rank. And they're both hunched over a piece of paper where they're scribbling some notes. So do you want to do anything?
Why is, Paul, I thought you were going to be our ground control lead for this mission. That's what we've been training for.
The problem is, says Scalzo, is the nature of the mission. It has a clearing, and I don't have the clearing. I'm sorry. It has something to do with the NSA, I guess.
Spy satellites. Okay.
I was just going to say, since we're going up, do we have the clearance necessary?
And Woolridge says, you have the clearing now. You have the Blacksat clearing. Please sit down, everyone. So in 48 hours, you will lift off to low Earth orbit. And the mission is to repair a satellite, to bring Mr. Weintraub and Mr. O'Neill to the satellite. They will repair the satellite, and then after 5 days, you will return back to Earth. Are there any questions? Please.
Are these men qualified to go into space? How many hours are they in a simulator? Can you pilot a spacesuit? And I look dubiously at Weintraub.
They are as fit as possible. There's a certain shortage in qualified personnel for this special mission. When you look at them, Will, you can definitely see, I mean, a person in his 60s is not really what you would expect. And the other person just looks severely overweight.
Yeah. I mean, going into space puts you through a hell of a lot of physical stress. Just the liftoff, never mind being up there.
Yes.
And what are your specializations?
Do you address that to the other two?
Yeah.
So the heavyset gentleman looks up and pouts and says, "Well, I am, I think, the best in my field." And the older gentleman says, "We are very qualified in advanced mathematics and theoretical physics."
Well, then, as experts in theoretical physics, you're aware of what happens when a 25 megaton kiloton rocket goes into space and the effects on the human body.
So the heavyset gentleman says, well, the rocket equation is something that we learn in junior years. Yes, we do know.
Colonel Woolrich, who is in
Yes.
command of the mission here? When we go into space, will I be taking orders from Bruce or Pierce?
No, you are in command. You're the command of the mission.
Are we across with that gentleman? And I turn to Bruce and Pierce.
They shake their heads.
you're not happy with that. Is that what I mean? Are they saying yes, or do they agree with that principle or not? Basically,
Yes, they agree. So
yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Fine.
Pierce
So
agrees.
yeah. It just felt like I had to shut that down before we got into space. If it was, but otherwise, when do we launch?
In 48 hours. You have 2 days to get these gentlemen in shape, and then you will have 3 days to approach the satellite. Are there any more questions?
Do I speak to about modifications to my flight kit?
Modifications to your flight kit?
I want to make sure that we have some specialized medical equipment going up. Normally it wouldn't be an issue, and I look over at the 2 non-astronauts. I want to make sure that we are prepared for things that are normally not a concern.
Yes, you are the expert. You have to make sure that the 2 of them will be healthy. So yeah, whatever you demand.
I snort at that.
Spay leans back and says, "Make sure we've got 2 pairs of defibrillators. That one looks like he's gonna collapse going up the stairs."
Do you say that loud enough that the both of them can hear that?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
Yeah, and I in response I say that was one of the things that I was going to add to the kit. Yes.
And I mean, the way I would see this is that it's Belton and it's Martin's job to do the medicals on these 2 guys. You know, like give their evaluations and stuff.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's Belton's job to make sure that they can do what they're supposed to do when they're up there.
Yes. The training will be Belton, and I guess maybe Macmillan, and the examination will be Martin.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm specifically giving it to Belton because it sounds like a pain in the ass.
When you ask about their qualification, again, like Weintraub, the heavyset gentleman, he seems to be a bit prickly about this. He says something peculiar, which is O'Neill is the only one who fully comprehends the Cortis differentials. Find me another person on Earth who understands these.
I would have to know what they are first.
And he smiles sardonically and says, "I don't think you do you?"
No. And I say, "Do you know the right? Do you know how to bring a space shuttle back in for a landing?"
I'm not questioning your qualification for doing your job, like driving one of these, little rockets, but don't question ours.
I only question your ability to survive up there and to not jeopardize the mission.
When you say that, he gets a bit like paler and sits back like heavily.
And I lean in close and I say, "My job is to make sure that everybody who goes on that shuttle comes back down again. And that includes you 2. And that's my mission."
When you say that, you see, I don't know, like a weird expression on his face that it's hard to interpret.
I probably write it off as, the average civvy going up into space, right, would be incredibly, and they would train for far longer than 2 days to do it. And I say, "Look, whatever you need from my team, you have it. But 2 things. 1, don't ever use a pet name for Deirdre. And 2, don't let me down. You follow my orders, we'll make it back alive.
Weintraub nods and seems to be deflated a little bit by the sincerity of your tone. Anything else you want to do? Question them or have questions about the missions? The mission?
So when we go up there, will either of you need to do the EVA, or are you expecting one of my team to take care of the physical process?
Oh no, the mission specialist has to do the EVA.
And I look relieved at that suggestion. So will we hit special equipment inside the shuttle for you to, or anything like that? Will be any unexpected cargo?
No cargo. Unfortunately, we can't use the Canada arm. We cannot bring in the satellite into the loading bay, which means, you have to bring the mission specialist has to bring Weintraub or O'Neill or both to the satellite.
Belton's a good man. He can handle it. I assume this classification is going to stand after we finish the mission.
Yes, which means you're not supposed to talk about Blacksat. Anything that we have talked about now, or anything that you will find out during the course of the mission. This is highest level of clearance.
Okay. Well, let's get you 2 boys in the vomit comet.
If there are no more questions, the next thing that you have to do is the training of Weintraub and O'Neill, the examination and everything else you want to do. If you want to find out more about these people or about Blacksat or anything, you could do that.
I will have a word with Martin privately and say, I need to know what to look out for these 2. A 60-year-old man who doesn't look in good shape, and a 40-year-old farce. We need to, sorry, I just stumbled because I said something that I would never say in person. We need to find out what to look out for, and I know that you'll be ready, Martin.
I mean, the standard battery of things that you'd expect: heart problems, pulmonary issues, embolisms.
Yeah, you've got it. But whatever you find out, they look jittery. I'd be jittery too.
Look, I have gone from being a flight surgeon for astronauts to being a doctor on a 747 for when somebody has a heart attack. I know this isn't your problem, but let's be blunt. They should not be going up. The odds of them coming back in one piece, let me amend that. The odds of them coming back in the same health as they were when they went up are not good.
No. But that's the mission. And I mean, it is my problem, Martin.
Isn't that like 15 years older than the oldest person who's ever been up? Or is it only 10?
Well, I'd take John Glenn over either of these 2 any day.
I mean, you're not wrong. But John Glenn still in shape.
Exactly.
I mean, these 2... All I can say is I'm really glad I'm not on custodial duties today, because the vomit comet is basically going to be hosed out with a fire hose.
Oh, that's Belton's job.
Talking about it, so Well, your job is not to pilot the Vomit Comet. It is to train them for zero gravity. So what is happening is there's like a swimming pool in the facility. There are these mock-up MMUs, which are the spacesuits that they wear when they do the EVAs. And then there are these hatches, and what you have to do is to guide them, in the water to open the hatch, pass through the hatch. And what is your approach? Are you more like the understanding, helpful type? Are you the rough? They need to learn to swim by throwing them in the water.
I think it would be the former. I think that Luke's probably, just sort of very empathic, very, again, kind of just going back to that constant smile he's just wearing. You know what I mean? It's, I think that sort of informs his approach. He's, I imagine opening up the conversation. We're going to be really good friends by the end of this training session. All right, so let's make the best of our time together. We're going to be really good buddies. I'm going to count on you, and you're going to be counting on me in 3 days once we're up, by the satellite.
So Pierce O'Neill, who is the first to go through the hatch, looks at you. Difficult to read, but you would say it's as if he has eaten something that is off by 1 day.
Okay.
He doesn't look happy. He doesn't buy the, buddy approach. But you do help him pass the hatch, and he actually does it. I think he needs 1 or 2 tries. But although he is, above 60, he's relatively nimble. Your problem starts with Weintraub. Bruce Weintraub, he's already heavy set, but then he has this this really cumbersome spacesuit, and he just stumbles over and over. And while you're guiding him through the through this fake hatch, he starts to panic. You hear him saying, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't do this."
You can do it, Bruce. You can do it. I would imagine, once again, Luke's probably a very touchy-feely, physical kind of person. And he stretches out a hand, and he's like, yes, trying to sort of like turn down the temperature on the situation. It's okay to fail. You'll get a second chance at it. It's all right. We'll do it again.
Okay, I think this warrants the first roll of the day. If you go for a roll for your party, have you seen the link on the Character Keeper?
I have, yes.
So I don't think that your specialization as an engineer helps you calming down Weintraub. So it would be just 1d6.
Okay.
And
do you?
Oh, gone.
Do you care whether it's a green or a red? I don't know if you have.
The red one is supposed to be the inside die.
The inside. Gotcha.
And I will roll against you. I think that failure would be interesting.
Okay. Sure.
And the failure would look like that he panics and doesn't like you anymore.
All right. So I've re-rolled and I've gotten a 5.
That is really good. I will roll this one. I also roll a 5, but on, I think you win. Will, can you confirm this? I don't think if you roll the failure die, and the failure die is the same as the original roll.
It has to be greater than the original roll.
Higher. Okay, so Belton actually, so the first try, Weintraub fails. He panics. You calm him down, and the second try, he actually does it. He's calmed down enough to go through the gates. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm imagining that it's like, oh, you did a great job, Bruce. That's fantastic. And there's lots of shoulder pats and,
Mm-hmm.
it's very unengineer-like, as you noted. And perhaps that's what makes Luke, yes, kind of interesting to Miss Spay,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps, as we try to sort of fill in these empty spaces.
So Bruce, when you calm him down and he actually does it, he's like the happiest boy on earth. He gives you a high five and he says, "You know what, Luke? I think that you're the first person at NASA who treats me like a human being."
Luke takes that to heart.
Does he though? Is that a genuine feeling?
That's interesting. I think perhaps, well, Luke has got such a void right now. He's so desperately maybe looking for any kind of positive acknowledgement that, yeah, I think it doesn't take very much to make Luke feel good at this point, right?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, when Weintraub leaves the training session, he will be like bright red and really completely exhausted. And Belton, you will have your doubts that you've prepared him like adequately, but you did the best you could do.
Can I? Would Dr. Martin have been observing this? If not, I would find a private moment to convey this information.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when he comes out looking bright red, I sit him down immediately and start taking vitals. I want O2 sats, I want his pulse, I want his heart rate, I want his blood pressure, I want everything that I can get on the spot, because dude looks like he's on the verge of a coronary.
Yes. So you take his vitals and they are terrible. Like he's completely out of shape. He has very, very high blood pressure under these circumstances. That's what you get without, putting him through.
I'm going to the dice.
Okay.
So we're using the die with pips as the dark die, or the insight die?
The inside die is the red one.
Okay. All right. So I've got one dice because it's humanly possible, and I've got another die because it's my specialization.
Yes.
Does anybody feel like offering a devil's bargain?
I'm not sure if Cthulhu Dark has a devil's bargain.
Okay. Damn it. I'm so used to trophy. Okay. So, yeah, I want to throw the insight die in here as well.
Oh, wow.
I mean, why not start early, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is a 3 on a green die and 1 on insight. And I'll go ahead and re-roll.
Yes.
Do I need to add another insight die?
No, you have to just re-roll everything that you just rolled. It's a 3 again, I think.
Yep. And, I can keep re-rolling until the insight die is higher? Okay.
No, you can keep on rolling until you're happy with the result. When the insight die is higher, you have to also make an insight roll.
That just actually gave me the same roll. God, I hate roll for your party.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there is a 5 on the green die and a 4 on insight, so I will take that.
Yes. So on a 5, you get everything. So let's say we take the medicals into this role. So after you examined Weintraub on the spot, you actually go to the I don't know, the laboratory or whatever it is, and you measure all his vitals, including an MRI, other tests. And
That sounds like an off-site clinic. I don't know that they'd have an MRI on site.
well, they have something to measure his brain waves in any case.
Okay, so like we're doing an EEG or EKG. Got it.
Yes. And so what you get is the following. He has definitely high blood pressure, too high for a man of his age.
Is it high for somebody in his physical condition?
Yes, it is even high for his a person in his physical condition. So it would be something like 155 to 100 is what I read here. Let's see. He has some scarring in his throat, which seems to indicate to you that he has some kind of reflux.
Yeah. Okay.
He has asthma. His lower spine is in terrible shape. And
are we talking strained or herniated discs, or are they just gone completely?
No. It's like a hernia that has been treated, but obviously it's like a chronic thing.
Right.
So this is what you get, what you would have gotten on a 4, but you got a 5. So the extra thing you get is his brain waves are weird, and they are weird. They are very, very symmetrical. Not what you normally have in normal brain waves that are like slightly erratic and changing. And when you see the readout, you're reminded of like an article that you've read like some time ago about how some people, like it was in a medical magazine, but later it got retracted. They said that it didn't meet the standard. I don't know why you remember this right now. But it
because
was
I remember Andrew Wakefield's bullshit, so I tend to remember unusual articles that got retracted.
And in any case, it was about how you can I don't know, how you can synchronize your thinking patterns to some kind of rhythm by I don't know, meditation or something.
So can I leave him alone for a few moments? Or, I mean, do I need to administer oxygen or?
No.
Is this like critical care here? Do I need to?
No. When he left the swimming pool, he was obviously out of breath. He was not hyperventilating.
Okay. So he's not going to drop dead right now, is what you're saying. Okay. Because then I'm going to take every last bit of this information and go straight to the commander.
To Spey?
Yes.
Or to Ulrich?
Go to Spey. I mean, Ulrich has already basically told us that he can't do anything, right?
Well, Ulrich would be the commander of the mission. So,
okay.
But you could go to. I mean, the chain of command would be to go to Spey anyways first.
Yeah, I mean, this may shock you, but I'm not particularly a chain of command person. But Spey needs to know this, like immediately, that this guy he's in bad shape, even for somebody who's in his shape. Like,
what would Spey do when you all have your own private rooms at the facility? What would Spey do when Deirdre knocks?
I was just wondering whether Dirk wanted to do anything. you know, our pilot.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. I guess Deirdre Knox. I suppose I'm just not really interested in. Martin can pass me that information, right?
mhm.
But then I'd need to go follow it up with the guy who's ordering us up there, right? Like I can't do anything.
Yes,
That's the mission.
that is
Yeah.
true. If you want to,
So-
if you want to do something, you would have to do it through Woolwich. And I think
my thinking was that it'd be better for see if Josh wants to do anything, and then I can go run at the commander and go, "What the fuck is this mission? You're going to get people killed, blah blah blah," right? Because that feels like the end of the training montage kind of period.
I think that, during the 48 hours, Dirk is looking over the flight plans.
yes,
He's just refamiliarizing himself with exactly where they are going, exactly what satellite they are visiting, and like where it's in orbit and all that.
Yeah, so you can see that in the flight manuals, Blacksat is actually there's like a schematic of the satellite. You also, from your expertise, you would say that it has a slightly unusual orbit. It is a bit higher than you would expect for a satellite.
Okay. Is there any recorded information on the satellite? Like, does it say who the owner is and like what its mission is?
So the information on the flight manual that you got for the mission has all this kind of information blacked out. That is redacted, and it is even beyond the Blacksat clearance.
I see. Yeah, I think that Dirk would be looking into other sort of pieces of other pieces of equipment in orbit in that same sort of area, seeing if there is other sort of classified stuff that seems related to the Blacksat initiative. And see, he doesn't want to be going blind into space, you know.
Give me that seems to be an investigation role, so one that you can't fail.
Okay.
And I would say the engineer being an engine. No, sorry, you're a pilot, obviously. Pilot actually helps, I think.
Okay. Yes. So I will roll, and that is a 6. I find a little bit too much.
Too much. Let me think. So,
Or
you're going through where do you check the other orbits? Is it on the internet? Or is it like the NASA database, probably?
I think I checked the NASA database first, but I think that because it's censored, I do then look on the internet and do some of my own research.
Nice. So what you find is, first of all, there has been another satellite in the same orbit, but and it was a Chinese satellite. It's difficult to find information about it, but with Google Translate and so forth, you find out that it spiraled down. So for unknown reason, there's discussion on the internet on some weird Reddit, like subreddits, about how that might be possible, but it lost its altitude. And you find a reference about like experimental topology is a reference that you heard. Something about like manifolds, unusual manifolds. And when you dig a bit deeper, I think the 6 maybe symbolizes that you get into this rabbit hole. You get from one subreddit to the next website, and it gets more speculative by the hour. And then, like at 3 in the morning, you stumble again across this Courtois formula equation, I think. And you do remember that Weintraub mentioned it. And I think the realization here is like attached to the Courtois equation is the idea that mathematical symbols can have more information than what it signifies. So that a number like 5 could have some extra bit of information that is not contained into like counting to 5. And I think that is a realization that is a bit uncomfortable, maybe.
Yeah, I think that Dirk. I think that one of the reasons why Dirk has trouble with committed relationships is because he is a little bit of he's a little bit obsessive, right? He gets into rabbit holes easily. So he spends, all night. He's on his computer. He's sort of looking up these conspiracy videos. And he doesn't really believe it. I rolled a 4 on my insight, so it does go up by 1.
Nice.
He doesn't really believe it, but there's something that gets stuck in his head, and I think when he sees Weintraub the next day, he doesn't want to bring it up because he doesn't want to seem like a conspiracy theorist in front of this mathematician, but he sort of can't keep his eyes off of Weintraub the next day.
Cool.
He's staring at him when he thinks Weintraub isn't looking.
Let me think. So do you want to do you share any of this information? Does Deirdre share the information about the terrible shape that Weintraub is? You have still yet to examine O'Neill, by the way. Does Dirk share anything?
I think we already agreed that Martin shares that information with Spey. I think
Yes.
I think I'd definitely I need an immediate physical on O'Neill. Let's find out both. And then I'm going to go to Woolwich and I'm going to thingy. I'll be honest, if Dirk starts telling me about this stuff.
Yeah, I think that Dirk doesn't share this. He won't share this. This is right now just on his search history.
Yes. And it fits to the Dirk's personality, I think, to not share these things. So Deirdre, you perform an examination of O'Neill. So maybe if you want to roll, yes.
And what the hell? Let's roll all 3 again.
Okay. That is
3-1-1.
Blame it on roll for your party.
4s across the board. I'll take that.
Yes. 4 is everything that you can get. So O'Neill is, despite being more than 10 years older, he is in better shape. So his blood pressure is lower.
Is it within normal ranges?
For his age, it's something like 140 or something.
So basically just on the brink of hypotension. Hypertension, rather.
He seems to be a casual smoker, which is not good for an astronaut or a man of his age.
Or people in general.
Or people in general. Let's see.
And I will chide him for smoking.
Yes, he will look at you and smile.
It's none of my business, but if you want to take, 10 years off your life and have a really, really crappy end of life experience, be my guest. You want to be hooked up to an oxygen tank, that's your business.
He
What do I
says,
know? I'm just a doctor.
I think you should be more worried about what happens after you die, to be totally honest. But that's just my opinion.
And I look at him and I say, I'm an atheist. I don't think anything happens except decomposition.
Well, I'm an atheist as well. I think there's a lot of stuff happening to the right people. But I digress. You find some scarring on his side, like his left side is it looks like electrocution scars.
I'm going to ask him what that's from.
Oh, that is years ago. I worked in a Union Carbide factory. We did some kind of laboratory work, and something went wrong.
That's a pretty big something went wrong. How'd you go from Union Carbide to the NSA?
I have a very interesting life path.
Well, you aren't dead yet, so.
Do you want to find out if he's lying?
You know what? Yeah.
I don't
So
think being.
Would that be? I was going to say, would that be my medical expertise as well?
No, I don't think so.
Not even having tons of people lie to me about medical conditions and.
Well,
yeah,
I don't know, because then like a shuttle flight like medical officer would also be a like mental. You know what I mean? Like mental, like psychotherapy kind of thing, counseling.
There's a phrase in Cthulhu Dark where that exact example is taken, like finding out if somebody's lying when you're a doctor doesn't help. Like bedside manners don't.
Yeah. Cool. Makes sense.
I just wondered if it would years of people saying, "Oh yeah, I sat on this," and it's like, no, I know exactly what you were doing. I know exactly how that got there.
You're gonna just have to roll your normal dice and your inside dice bucket.
Oh well.
This is not like playing to win; it's playing to lose.
Oh, I'm well aware. That's a 6.
Nice. So he's not only lying. When you, your inside die is lower. I want to say when you touch with your fingers the scars on his body, you get like a short glimpse of a room. O'Neill being in the room, tied to a chair, and being obviously subjected to some kind of horrible experiments. And then you snap out of it.
So you're saying the scars are telepathic?
No, I'm not saying that the scars are telepathic. What I'm saying is your intuition somehow got the better of you.
Perhaps what she notices is like scars on his wrists as well from where he's been bound,
Oh, cool. And you can see that he was bound. Nice, I like that.
So just because I'm nosy and I don't know how to leave well enough alone, and again, playing to lose, I'm going to dead ass ask him about that room with all the details that I saw.
I mean, does that feel appropriate? You know what I mean? I feel like that's the kind of like your imagination. You know what I mean? Like it's your theorizing kind of stuff. Otherwise, like you're rolling just with like being telepathic, basically.
Yeah, you're not telepathic. It's more like you get the feeling as if.
Okay, fair. So he's been subject to some sort of experiment or enhanced interrogation technique.
That's what you think this is.
Medical deduction. Got it. I'm Watson, not Holmes.
Very well put.
Okay, and then I need to roll the insight die because I rolled a 6.
That is subject to, do you think that it warrants an insight roll? Like, do you think that is like a weird, like a 6 normally warrants an insight roll on if it's really like investigating? I mean, you did investigate.
Does it disturb Martin to see a guy
Yes,
who is working for
that is-
NASA who's been restrained and is scarred and is lying to you about it, and we're responsible for it? Does that in any way challenge your
Believe in how the world works? If you say
He's coming from the NSA, right?
Yeah.
um,
Well, we don't know where he's coming. He's coming from the spook network, you know? Like,
Okay.
who knows?
I think that in that context, knowing that he's coming from, the spy-ish adjacent sort of the side of things, I'm probably just going to say, dude had a bad time in, Kabul.
In
or
Nicaragua
something.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
fair enough. Okay. So the day of launch approaches quickly. Does Spay go to Woolwich?
Yeah. I go to Woolwich and I say he's going to die up there.
Well, that is unfortunate.
Not O'Neill. Weintraub. He's not going to make it back. From what you said, O'Neill was the important one.
It is true. But you know how it is. It is better to have 2 people going up
I understand.
than 1.
Yes, I understand. But you're okay with this? He knows this? Deirdre hasn't told him yet.
We have spoken to Weintraub, we have spoken to O'Neill. Both agreed to the mission. Both know how important this mission is, and I
Yes,
don't have
Colonel,
to tell you.
That's not what I asked, Colonel. All due respect. Does he know?
He knows. He knows that he's not in the best physical shape that he can be, and yes, there is.
He knows he's likely to die.
If you cross the street, you can die.
I'd like to make an insight roll as I deal with the fact that I'm being asked to take a man up to his death, and the Colonel is clearly, prevaricating around it.
Okay.
Whether he knows it, which I think I can read between the lines to say I shouldn't tell him that, but I have to come to terms with the thing. Sorry, I got kicked out because of bandwidth, but here we go. So I'll roll my. It's a 2, so my insight die goes up. It's the first time ever I will go out with one of my men and, not be responsible for his life. But then I have had to put people for the mission above the life before, and I just say to Woolwich, like, this had better be important.
Well, your career depends on it.
A man's life is going for it, unless some goddamn miracle happens.
If he dies, and it's a big if, he will die a goddamn hero.
On a mission no one can ever know about. Will that go down on my record, Woolwich?
The mission will go on your record. The death? No.
Okay. And I would like to try and persuade him that I need to know more if I can to do this mission properly, And then, I leave it up to you to how much more that might be, but to be basically like, I need more details here. Like, I'm going to be responsible for a lot up there.
Okay, roll to persuade.
I think my mission commander would come into that because it's my authority, I am calling upon the rank that I have and the role that I have, right? Like, I
think that is the only time, when this commander status actually comes into play, like ordering around people and.
Yeah. I would take it as kind of like I am trained in doing a bit of what everybody does, and I can offer support to that kind of thing. But yeah, that is a 4. I'll take that.
Yes. So he says, the satellite needs to be kept up. it gives us a strategic advantage over the Chinese and the Russians. If they put something up there that we don't like, we can shoot it down.
So it's a space weapon. It's an anti-satellite defense.
It is a deniable anti-satellite weapon, which means, the Russians and the Chinese know that it's up there, but it obviously has no military capabilities, right?
Mm.
It is part of national security. This thing stays up.
Is there any danger? Are we talking explosives? My man needs to know what he's dealing with when he gets close to it. If he uses a cutting torch next to a missile.
The details of the mechanism, I mean, that is like physics. It has something to do with gravity.
It's a non-conventional weapon, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are no rockets, there are no explosives.
I mean, I think in character, if Woolwich looks me in the eye and says that, he can't tell me what it is and what it does, but that they've thought of like, explosive fumes, gases, blah, 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 that kind of thing. And he would tell me about it if there was. Then
Yes.
I think Spey would have to just, say, okay, and not be very, not salute as he goes. I think he would salute, actually. I think he'd salute very stiffly as he leaves.
Yes. And Woolwich returns the salute and looks you very sincerely in the eye, appealing to your patriotism, probably.
I expect, merits for all of the crew.
Mm-hmm. So in the evening before the start, Dirk, there's a knock on your door.
Yeah, Dirk answers. He opens the door.
It's Weintraub, and he has, I don't know. I think he brought like 2 cans of beer, and he says, "You mind if we, talk a bit?"
Yeah, Dirk is clearly confused, but I think that he is going to sort of take a step back into his room and say, "Of course, come in."
Mm-hmm. And he will pass you awkwardly the beer. Oh, hold on a second. I'm a fucking idiot. He knocks at Luke's door. I'm so stupid. Luke was the one who helped him.
Yes.
I'm sorry about that. I will cut this out because we have editing capabilities.
He knocks on Dirk's door and goes, "Oop, wrong room."
Yeah. Dirk opens it and goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he moves down the hallway a little bit.
Exactly. And Luke, you hear a knock on your door.
Luke was probably sitting on the bed, sort of reflecting on a picture of Rachel, and just sort of, again, just sort of in this tenuous mental state, but puts on the sort of mask, opens the door with this sort of smile. Hey, hi.
Hey, Luke. I thought maybe it would be fun to have a beer.
Yeah. Come on in. And he opens the door wide and lets him in.
Mm-hmm. And he looks at the photo. Is the photo of Rachel visible?
Yeah, that sounds more interesting. Yes, let's make it.
Mm-hmm. And he says sheepishly, "Is that your girlfriend?"
Oh, and you can sort of just visit. It's like he's taken aback that he had left the photo. Let's just say it was on his phone, and it was, clearly the two of them together in a more than sort of friendly situation.
Mm-hmm.
And Luke is just just clearly lying. Oh no, just a friend,
Are you nervous for tomorrow?
Oh, that old thing. Flight. No, I'm excited.
Yeah, and he sighs and he says, "I don't know, man. I'm excited as well, but this is my first time. This is my first rodeo, and I don't know."
Yeah, why don't you? He sort of clears a spot on his bed. Why don't you tell me what you're feeling? Yeah, yeah. What's going on?
I don't know. L seems to be okay with this, but when he says L, he bites his tongue and says, I mean Pierce. I think Pierce is okay with this, but I don't know. I'm not a sporty person.
Oh, I mean, Luke pauses for a moment to sort of process this. So, you're not in tip-top shape for this flight. Oh, okay. You struggled a little bit in the pool, and that was
But man, you helped me, and I'm really thankful.
Yeah, I think Luke puts his arm around his shoulder, and I got your back, and you got my back.
And yeah, he gives you like this awkward side hug. Yeah, sure. Man, I'm feeling a bit better. And he downs his beer and turns around and really awkwardly leaves the room, like a half raised hand. Tomorrow, see you tomorrow.
Right.
But you did. Oh, God.
Go ahead.
You did hear that he referred to O'Neill as Al, which is weird.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you want to say something to him before he leaves?
Yeah,
I think you wanted to say something.
Yeah, before he completely walks away, I guess I step out into the corridor of the hallway, like I said, before he walks away, and I just pull him in close, and you can, we're going to be dependent on each other when we're up there, you can confide in me with anything. And I just sort of like lean in, and this is sort of like, the BS that all of my colleagues would be able to totally see through, but this is sort of again, the conduit. This is the sort of the way that just Luke communicates with people, right?
And I think Bruce doesn't really reads people that well. So why don't you roll to persuade him to spill the beans, so to speak?
Sure. And then go ahead.
So this is information gathering, so you can't fail.
Okay. And can I sort of lean into my insight? Just like I'm.
Sure. You can always roll your insight as well.
Okay. So let's. Well, I got a 6 on the green, and I got a 4 on the insight.
That is okay. So 6 is the best information, maybe a little bit extra. So when you say that he trusts you in the moment, and he returns back to your room, and he says, I want to be totally honest with you, Luke. I don't think that all of us will survive this. And it might be very well me who doesn't. But it's part of the mission.
This leaves Luke confused. And this is sort of the engineer part of him, that it's just sort of like everything is zeros and ones, deep down inside. And this just does not compute. He just doesn't understand. I don't understand. I mean, why are you even doing this?
We're the only ones who can do this. you have to integrate over all the possibilities. And not even computer can do this. L can do it, and I can do it. And there might be, a Russian and a Chinese who can do it, and that's it. We are 50% of the human population who is able to repair this satellite. And we don't even need to get close. And I think this is the 6. So what he's telling you that he somehow is able to manipulate the satellite without even touching it.
Yeah, and this completely, I mean, just you can see the confusion on his face because of, of course, Luke was assuming I'm going to do spacewalk. I'm going to be out there with my spanner and etc. And it just does not compute.
So if it somehow like chips, or what is it called? Like if you can see a crack in your worldview, you would have to make an insight roll, which means you roll your insight die, and then if it's higher than a 1,
sure,
it would increase by 1.
That's fair. So anything's higher than a 1. So
well, a 1 is not higher than a 1.
That's a good point. Mechanically, I rolled a 3, so this will get it up to 2.
Nice. And yeah, I think he mentioned, like, he refers before he leaves. He says the name L again, and he says L. And now I have to look at my notes because the name is ridiculous. Let's see. He refers to Oppius as Carnessinger. That's the name. I will put it in the chat. I think that's it.
Okay.
So it's the night before. Weintraub leaves. It's the night before the launch. Do you do anything? Share the information?
I don't think I share this information. I think I sort of file it away along with my other sort of, personal secrets.
Do you look up any of the techno babble that he used? The manifolds and the, I don't know what else. Do you look up the Carnessinger?
Yeah, I would certainly spend time looking that up.
Lieutenant Belton, you find a weird website called Esoteric Genealogy, and there's one. There are several entries. One of them is Carnessinger.
Is this sort of similar, kind of internet rabbit hole?
Yeah. It's definitely some very dark corner of the internet.
Yeah, where it's sort of like one link, he finds another word that he doesn't understand, or another term or a reference that leads into another one, and before he knows it, it's 4:30 a.m. and yeah.
So, am I reading this right? And it's Kessinger is 1925.
You don't think so? He wouldn't be that old.
Well, I know there's an Anton Johannes Wilhelm Kessinger.
It might be Albert Carnessinger.
1948.
He was also referred to as Al.
Al. Right, sorry. I've been hearing ELL when I was like,
that's my
maybe
German
it's like a nickname. Yeah, no worries.
So, Luke, what do you do at 4:30? You make your inside roll. You're getting a bit troubled and stressed out, but not too much. Do you go to sleep then? Do you tell the others?
That's a good, yeah. Thank you for asking again. So I think at this point, I think that Luke would probably step out of his quarters and probably shambling along. And is it sort of out of the realm of possibility? I mean, maybe wake somebody up.
Definitely.
Yeah. I hate to say it would not be Lieutenant Colonel Mike Spey. He pauses in front of Dr. Martin's door, but then he, sort of, just the whole weirdness of, So then he walks over to Dirk's door and kind of like gently knocks. It's almost like he's afraid to wake him up, but at the same time, he's hoping that Dirk's awake.
He isn't.
Yeah, Dirk is awake. Dirk opens the door again.
This time it's not Bruce.
This time it's Luke. And Dirk greets Luke. He says, "Oh, hello there, Lieutenant Commander Belton. Do you need something?"
Dirk, I just saw some stuff that just is kind of keeping me up, and I feel like I maybe need to talk to somebody about it.
Oh, there's a counseling center on campus, but sure, Luke, you can sit down.
It's not that kind of personal nature stuff. I just had a talk a little while ago with Bruce. Bruce is going to be on the flight with us.
Yeah, he stopped by my door earlier. He was looking for you.
Yeah, no kidding, really, huh? Well, he showed up with a couple beers, and we kind of got to talking a little bit, and he used some scientific terms that I am not familiar with, to be honest, and I couldn't go to sleep, so I spent a little bit of time just sort of reading like I normally do, and can I show you?
Yeah. Dirk will let him in, and we'll look through this stuff. Does this seem familiar to Dirk, who has also been in his own little rabbit holes?
There are definitely connections. So in your research, let me see. So the co-numeracy in ablative manifolds was definitely mentioned as like this obstruse way to maybe manipulate satellites and their orbit.
Yeah, I think that Dirk is actually a little bit startled by this, because when he does recognize the co-numeracy in ablative manifolds, and he realizes, well, this was actually the stuff that I was looking at, and he's clearly is a little bit. You can see on his face he seems a little concerned.
And maybe that's not the reaction that Belton was expecting, because he would probably expect some kind of skepticism from other scientifically minded people.
Yeah. No, he came to Dirk looking for, this is totally irrational, just get it out of your mind, and he's not getting that. He's getting sort of he can see the sort of a little bit of recognition, a little bit of connection. Yeah.
Does it trouble either of you?
I'm gonna say it does trouble me. But that is a 1, so it doesn't trouble me that much.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think that Dirk only he looked at this paper, co-numeracy and ablative manifolds, and I think he pulled it up on some article search, and he was not, it's not his field, so we wasn't actually able to read it. And maybe if he had spent time yesterday actually reading this article, it would, have concerned him enough. But he only recognized the name, so he walks away unscathed enough.
Well, I mean, after they go through this journey, this sort of like cognitive journey, should we go to the commander with this, or I mean, should we just log it away in our mental files and just go on? I mean, I'm not sure what to do with this, Dirk.
Yeah. Turk, he puts his head in his hands. He says, "Look, well, you gotta tell the commander. Tell Mike at least. You know, you can't bring these people onto this ship if Mike doesn't know who they are."
And at this point, this is sort of, again, the touchy-feely side of Luke coming through. Luke rests a hand on, Dirk's shoulder. I can't tell Mike. I got my own personal reasons, but, how about you take this information to him for us?
You can't tell Mike. You're gonna be on the spaceship with him. What do you mean you can't tell him? He's your commander.
I'm feeling a little bit ill right now, Dirk. I just need a moment to myself. But you, please. I got one more thing to tell you though before you go see Mike. And this is sort of that moment where just like just sort of like share that confession, I guess, that Bruce made, that don't actually have to be at the satellite to. It's like, I don't even know what he means by that. Don't have to be at the satellite? I mean, what the? I might as well just stay down here and not even go on the ship.
I don't know what he means by that. Yeah, why wouldn't he just be on ground control then?
Maybe we just keep that to ourselves. I don't know, but I'm just letting somebody else know that this has been a very strange evening or morning.
Well, thanks, Luke. I'll let Lieutenant Colonel know, but let me know if they tell you anything else. And Dirk has a weird look in his eyes when he says that.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
do you go tell me?
Yeah, Dirk is gonna go to Mike, and he is gonna, inform him that Luke spoke to him, and they have concerns that Weintraub is not who they think he is, or that O'Neill is not who they think he is. I guess both of them.
I mean, I think Spade's response is that they're not. Yeah. What did you think, son? This is a top classified mission. Those aren't their real names. These aren't the real people. God knows what the hell they want us to do up there, but that's the mission we've got.
Yeah. And I think that when Mike sort of dismisses this, Dirk will be like, well, all right, and he's not gonna. Perhaps he doesn't share the whole story then, and he is returned to his room.
Mm-hmm.
Lift off.
So this will be 2 minutes of me just narrating, and then exactly, and then you can act. So T minus 2 minutes. The way it looks like, if you look at my incredible character sheet and go to the shuttles tab, you see, if you have very good eyes, the seating. So there's the flight deck. On the flight deck is obviously the commander and the pilot. And then there's this ladder that leads down to the middeck. And the middeck is where you will sleep and everything. But at the moment, there are these chairs. There are in total 5 chairs crammed into the middeck. And you can see O'Neill and Weintraub sitting next to each other. And then there's also, let's see, there's also the doctor and Belton. So it's 2 minus 2 minutes, T minus 2 minutes. The crew members they close the visors. There are these, like shaded visors. T minus 31 seconds. Ground control starts the sequencer. T minus 10 seconds, the main engine activates. There's this rumble that goes through the rocket. It is bone shattering. 10 minutes minus 6 seconds, the main engine starts. Then you have obviously ground control. This is ground control to shuttle on. Is everything okay? And counting down the numbers. And then at T minus 0 seconds, the boosters ignite. You get a lift off. You have the confirmation from ground control. We have a lift off. And then after 12 seconds, the shuttle tilts to the you start vertically, and then it tilts to its trajectory. And now the G force on your body is 1.7, and Deirdre, you hear everybody hears Weintraub gasping. It's T plus 19 seconds. Weintraub is starting to scream, and he's not stopping to screaming. But Belton, Spey, and Millen, your headphones are cut off from this. So Martin hears Weintraub screaming, and you only hear ground control. What are you doing?
McMillan is piloting the ship.
Yes.
It's only Martin who can hear the screaming, right? Because the rest of us
Yes.
aren't patched into that comm channel, whereas she's into all of us to see whether or not one of us gets an embolism as we go up, right? So I guess the rest of us are carrying on with the mission. What's Martin doing?
I mean, how many Gs are we pulling right now?
At the moment, it is still 1.9. And you will go up to, I think, 4.
I mean, there's really nothing that I can do at this point to help him. So
yes,
we knew this was likely.
So the normal procedure would be to wait for 0G and then, give him CRT or anything. That is following the protocol. You could try to get up and, administer. You said that you have some kind of medication with you.
Is he close enough that I can jab him?
You would have to get up, though.
So that's a no. All right.
You would break protocol. It's not impossible.
Yeah, but the problem is it's going to be impossible pretty quickly because soon I'm going to weigh 4 times Earth normal.
Mm-hmm.
So we knew this was likely.
Yes.
I am not going to jeopardize the remainder of the mission for one person because I might save him but hurt myself. And if I hurt myself, I can't hurt anybody else, or I can't help anybody else on the remainder of the trip. So, what's more important, this one dude or the remainder of the crew?
Mm-hmm. And after a couple of seconds, Weintraub's mic is also cut out for you. T plus 38 seconds, shuttle reaches maximum stress. You break the sound barrier. T plus 48 seconds, you Commander Spey, you hear Capcom. The problem is, let me see. So Capcom checks in, but they are not coming through clear. So you hear this is Capcom. Everything okay up there?
I tell him that Martin's dealing with Weintraub. Otherwise, mission go. Bad comms. And I wait and I hear, but I trained for not being in touch with ground control, so the mission continues ultimately.
Capcom says, get Weintraub over there. Get Martin over there. We need Weintraub.
Are we in space yet?
No, this breaks protocol.
Yeah.
But it is a direct order.
It is a direct order. I say, repeat, Commander. I can't hear you. Repeat. Yeah.
And then the radio actually does completely cut out. You hear medic, what Weintraub, let proceed to radio, O'Neill, permiss. And then it cuts out.
I mean, I'm just sticking to the mission.
Yeah, you don't say anything to
No. I am not jeopardizing Martin's life, unstrapping in the middle of blast off to save someone who may already be dead.
Okay, T plus 1 minute 47 seconds. Radio is completely down. You're at 35 kilometers and moving at speed. Then the orbital maneuvering system ignites. These tanks fall. The rockets fall off, and T plus 3 minutes. Capcom gets back and says, how's the situation of Weintraub?
Unable to check, T minus, we're T plus 1 minute out from 0G.
Proceed.
Because we have to remember that we're all basically being like slammed into our chairs with a huge amount of force at T plus 3 minutes, particularly, right? Like loads of this stuff is can barely move.
Yeah, you can barely. It's the maximum stress on your body, at least. So T plus 4 minutes. The radio cuts off again, and I don't think that we have to roll. I mean, you are shuttle pilots, obviously. And then let's see. This is the last opportunity to abort the mission at 6 minutes and 40 seconds. And then you are on a trajectory to leave Earth. T plus 7 minutes. Oh, wow. The G forces actually continue to build. Now it's triple Earth gravity. And T plus 8 minutes and 30 seconds. The thrust ceases. Orbit is achieved. And you are in microgravity. Start to float. What do you do?
I immediately order Martin to, I just say Weintraub, and I start unbuckling. I'm running for him as well.
I mean, before you even say that, I'm already unbuckling. Like the second I start to feel like I can actually move again, because I know we're getting close to orbit, and I'm heading over to him. Is he alive?
No, he's dead. There's when you open his visor, there's like this vomit coming out and floating in space. You can see that his eyes are open. He is blind. he was blinded by some kind of embolism in his eyes, and he has no life signs.
All right, I'm going to hit him with a defib. He hasn't been dead long.
Yeah, you can do that. You apply the defibrillator. I don't
Do I
know.
need to roll?
Yes.
And I will be rolling the insight die because why not?
And I will roll against you because that is fun.
That's a 4 on the insight die.
Nice. 4 is a full success, but let's see what I roll. Let's give me. I got a 5.
God damn it.
You can always re-roll, but first you have to make your inside roll.
Okay.
And it makes sense because there's the vomit flying around. You see into the into the blind eyes of a dead man trying to, that you were not able to help.
That is a 4 on the insight die, which is higher than my current insight, so that goes up.
And you can always re-roll.
And I would like to re-roll because I get the feeling this dude is necessary.
That is a 6. Nice.
So what uncanny arcane bit of information do I get from reviving this dude?
I don't think, well, it's not an investigative roll per se, but
Okay.
I think the uncanny thing is that when he gets, so first of all, you get him back to live again, although he was out for some time. And you would assume that his brain was probably without oxygen for like a minute or two.
That's nothing. It takes several minutes before brain damage actually kicks in.
On top of the embolism, though.
Yeah.
Well, and is he still blind?
Yes, he is still blind. You didn't
So
heal
that's
his
going to be
blindness.
a permanent condition for him?
Yes, and he's not screaming. He's like shaking, like twitching and shaking uncontrollably.
I'm going to give him a shot of Haldol.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that ought to, not enough to knock him out, but enough to chill him out. And yes, I'm giving somebody an antipsychotic injection.
Okay. Spay, you're floating towards the mid deck.
Mm-hmm. I leave it with Martin. I think that what I'm getting from this scene is that Weintraub is basically like he's alive, but it seems as though he's in rough condition, near catatonic almost.
Yes.
But that's the mission, right? We've got a liability now. Martin keeps him as stabilizes him with whatever means she can do. But we've got to push on. At least we've got O'Neill, right?
At this point, I'm going to turn to you and say, Commander, and I make sure my comms are switched off, and I gesture to you to switch yours off, and say, should I have revived him? Is he more of a liability to us in the state that he's in?
You did your job, Martin. Keep doing it. And I just if I had enough of a read on you to know whether I'd put a sort of like I trust you hand on your shoulder, I would do that. But I'm not sure if that would go awkwardly with Martin. Well, you know what, he'd do it anyways because he thinks that that's the thing,
I think at this point, given that I've just revived somebody who died during launch when we told everybody they were not likely to survive, that would be welcome.
I am going to roll the inside dice though because this is on me. I feel this is on Spay. That's only a 2. I already knew he was as good as dead.
I still owe you the extra benefit of the roll, which is you think that he should have been dead. Like you revived him, but you have the feeling that it was actually too late. So whatever brought him back is partly your your help, which was too late, and partly something within him.
Now, Weintraub's the
Heavy
weird
set
brainwaves.
Actually, O'Neill had the brainwaves as well.
Oh, so both of them had the unusual brainwaves.
Yes, if you compare the readouts, they are as if you're reading the same thing.
That is also something that I would have shared with the commander because that is unusual.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I mean, I think that's a Martin internal kind of those brainwaves. Is that why he's even alive now? He should be dead, kind of thing. That shouldn't have worked.
What do you do with a dead body?
Well, he's still breathing.
Oh, sorry, with the dead body. What do you do with Weintraub?
We leave him strapped to a gurney. That kind of thing.
Yeah,
I know we don't have a gurney, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, he's strapped onto his chair. So during the flight, you will have to sleep. When you approach the satellite, there are these three. It's like a cupboard with 3 bunk beds where you have a little bit of privacy, and then there are 2 sleeping bags attached to a rack of computers to the background in the back. And he will just be, you will leave one of the chairs out with him sitting in there. Do you put him in one of the sleeping bags?
I think, in fact, we keep him in his spacesuit because he's, not to put too fine a point on it, he's plumbed in.
Yeah. I'm also administering some blood thinners because I don't want him to develop a kind of a clot and stroke out or something like that. It's just, at this point, I'm doing everything I can to keep. Basically, I'm doing emergency medicine in space.
What does O'Neill think of this?
O'Neill is mightily angry about Weintraub, and he rages. He actually screams at you, Martin, although you saved him. Why didn't you help him earlier?
Then we'd have 2 dead people here.
Let me ask you something, O'Neill. Have you ever weighed 4 times your body before this?
That is beside the point.
No, it isn't. You can't do anything. I weigh 160 pounds normally. I can't help a patient when I weigh 640.
I think, we have our heartfelt scenes in the thing, I'll tell Belton and Macmillan, obviously, we're all on board. I'll tell Capcom about it, and yeah.
Yeah, Woolrich says this is a terrible tragedy that Weintraub can't perform his duty, but at least he's alive.
Yeah. And I don't even bother signing over with that one. The first crack in my professionalism goes off. Yeah, I guess that's. I imagine there's not much to do other than wait for the arrive at the satellite.
Yes, the only thing that you have to do before you it's another I think 2 days where you approach the satellite that we can obviously fast forward. The only thing that you have to do is prepare the MMUs, which are these bulky spacesuits for leaving the space shuttle, and that is something that Belton would do. Actually, it is supposed to be 2 people doing the EVA to help O'Neill. So I think Martin is probably out. It would be Spey or Macmillan who would have to accompany O'Neill to the satellite.
Would you like to do it, Josh, or do you want me to do it?
I would be more than happy to.
Cool. Then, because I figure I fill any backup spot. You know what I mean? While Macmillan's out, I pilot the ship, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So Belton, you would check and prepare the MMUs. can you make a roll for me, please? You're an engineer. You would get the other die as well, the occupation die.
Sure. I'm trying to think of a circumstance where I could start sort of dialing up the temperature. I was wondering if there is, and I'm open to any ideas, anything that would cause me to sort of bring the insight dice into this scenario or into this role. I don't know
Your
if
life is going to depend on this?
Yeah, well, that's perfect, actually. So, this is a moment of personal reflection where it all kind of, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does that seem fair?
It's very fair.
Yeah. Thank you for that suggestion. That was very good. So let us see. Okay. Well, nevertheless, I still got a...
Fine.
A 5?
Yes.
Nice. So what you find is there's a small, they seem to work properly, but there is a small device that seems to be added to each of the MMUs. And it is also on a pretty peculiar position. It's near the primary life support system that provides you with oxygen. You check this out a little bit, and the device has wires that goes from the antenna where you receive the radio signal from the others and from Capcom to a small digital receiver, and that disappears in the bowels of the oxygen system. The little bit extra what you get, because you have a 5, is you will be able to, so you won't be able to get it out. What you could do is to disable it, but it would also disable radio communication.
Okay. Well, I think, I'm just trying to imagine sort of like an outward narrative, I guess that's maybe the sort of the right, term of art. You'd sort of see Luke kind of, what the fuck is this? What? I've never seen. And I think he tries to remove it from the suit and, appreciates that it's, as you described, that it's integral, right? It's sort of not just sort of like a piece of gum stuck to the bottom of my shoe, but that it is integral to the operation of the suit. And yeah,
you can cut it off. You can cut off the radio signal. That is what you can do. So it wouldn't trigger, obviously, or it wouldn't be able to be triggered from afar. But you can't take it out without damaging cutting the wire.
And you and Macmillan are both going to be wearing these things in a very short amount of time in the middle of space, right?
Yeah, I think.
Doesn't make you.
I think that is so. If Macmillan is also checking the suits, I assume.
Yes. Yeah. Because you also have to go out.
Yeah. So I think that Macmillan is very confused by this. And I think that Macmillan would like to speak to our ship commander about these clearly modified spacesuits, and maybe ground control.
We're not speaking to ground control. We're speaking to O'Neill.
Ooh. Yeah. So Macmillan will bring these up, even if Luke doesn't really want to, because he is nervous about this.
I straight up to O'Neill and I say, look, he's as good as dead. I nod over at Weintraub. We don't know what's going on here. You're all on your own up here, and we're the only people you've got. You need to tell me what these things in my men's suits are, on what they're going to do. You tell me what we're doing up here.
Make a persuasion roll, or like a roll.
Flight commander?
I think that's the
I'm calling upon my flight.
authority.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'll add my insight dice, of course. That's a 5 though, not on the insight. Oh no, wait, that's a 4 on the insight, so I do go up. I will roll my insight. That's a 5, so my insight goes up by 1 as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine that will be an easy sell on my insight going up.
and the 4 is your the 4 was the result.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get everything.
Mm-hmm.
He admits that these are kill switches. They are supposed to be activated in order for us to proceed with the with repairing the satellite. We need to, when you die, your consciousness is unspooled, and we need the energy to activate the satellite.
I mean, I made my insight for this, I think, with my thing just now, right? But I think we're having this scene in kind of like all of us together, so I leave it to the rest of you whether or not you can roll your insight check on this.
Yeah.
This is our mission.
At the moment, Weintraub is babbling, and he says, "Don't kill Luke! Don't kill Luke!"
I'm not killing anybody.
So how do you react to that situation?
I am going to roll insight really quick. That is a 3, which is high, so it does increase. Yeah, Dirk shakes. He says, "I'm not getting in that suit. You cannot put me in that suit."
How does
Belton?
Luke?
I think I'm also going to roll insight. This feels very, That's a 6, which makes my insight go up.
Do you freak out, like visually? Are the other people seeing that you display your fear?
Oh yeah, I think this is when that veneer starts to crack, and what do you mean? What do I have to do with this? Why me?
And Martin?
I'm just looking at it.
So Martin is relatively unfazed. I mean, you don't have to leave the space shuttle anyways.
I mean, if anything goes sideways, I'll patch them up when they get back.
So, just thinking, looking at the clock. My suggestion.
Yes.
Macmillan's not going out. Belton. It doesn't sound. You know what? I wouldn't send you out in this, but I would check. I want to ask O'Neill when a consciousness is unspooled. You need someone to die, and this is all crazy bullshit, right? But like,
yes.
What about him? I'll point at Weintraub.
He would do.
Get him in the MMU. Belton, disconnect this from the radio. What do you need me to do out there, O'Neill?
O'Neill says, the only thing you have to do is bring me next to the satellite. We activate the kill switch, and I do the repair.
So I just need to get him, and I point over at Weintraub, close to the satellite.
And me.
You'll do it, but you'll be in the shuttle.
No, I have to be close.
Oh, so he's got a suit as well. Okay, I didn't realize that. I misunderstood the situation. Okay, well, I'm going out with them. And then these two. And
so obviously the original plan was that either O'Neill or Weintraub would go out, perform the whatever they perform, but one of you would die. But now one of you has done.
I understood that they were both staying in the shuttle and we were going out to do work with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
but anyways,
you have to get clear.
Yeah. Belton.
All right. I don't like this, but we got to do it. So
Okay.
I think if I understand correctly, removing this component from the suit that Luke wears, that Mike wears, not from O'Neill Pierce.
Yes. And
And
not
it's
from Weintraub, I assume, because that's
Okay.
the plan.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you need me to roll for this at all, or is it
No, that is
Okay.
as simple as cutting the wire.
Gotcha.
And plus, we're trained in hand signals, so it makes sense for us to not have the radio. It cuts us off from the thing, but we can speak to each other.
Well, there's one way as well. If you get your helmets together, the vibration would transport. So if you actually touch the helmets, you could speak.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you the way it works is you have to camp out in the airlock. The airlock is this incredibly tight space behind the middeck, and you have to camp out there for a couple of hours. The nitrogen is cleansed from your system. It's pure oxygen that you will breathe. And so you are in the airlock with 4 people. The incredibly ill Weintraub, O'Neill, Belton, and Spey.
I imagine Weintraub is sedated as well, like as comfortably as
Heavily.
possible. Yeah.
I mean, you basically have, well, whatever his weight is of dead weight. He is
Nothing.
He's basically unconscious.
We're just gonna drag his floating body behind as you push off to Blacksat.
I've tried to make it as easy for you as possible. He'll stay under for a while.
Okay, so in the 3 hours, probably O'Neill will explain a little bit more about the hypergeometry behind the repairing of the satellite, but it is way over your head. It's something about the observer effect, and reality is dependent on consciousness and so forth. If Macmillan were to listen on to this, he would probably recognize something from his internet search. But after these 3 or 4 hours, the airlock is opened. The bay of the payload, the doors of the payload bay are open as well, and you float out into space. I think it is interesting to see whether or not everything works out fine for you with the tethers. They tend to entangle each other, or
I just want to put in and say it is interesting, but is it as interesting as getting to the supernatural part of this thing in the last 10 minutes of the game?
That is also true. I thought floating away in space is pretty a cool ending for a character. Can always happen afterwards. That is
yeah.
Oh, nice. I don't know if we could run. Nice. This is good. This is good, because I was afraid of my pacing is off again. Anyways, so you leave the space shuttle and you get nearer to the satellite, and from afar it is a pretty ordinary looking satellite, octagonal in shape, with the solar panels that power it. Obviously, there's a metal plate on struts, and O'Neill says, well, this is the the actuator plane, and I need to get close to this. Actuator, I guess it's pronounced.
Mhm.
And let's see.
I mean, Belton's a specialist here, so he'd be with O'Neill, and I'd be with Weintraub, I guess.
Mhm. You do see that there are engravings on the plate.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No. I don't know if you want to try to interpret them or.
I do. I just trying to see if there's any recognition. And yeah, and I imagine this is doesn't relate at all to my sort of engineering background. This is just
insight. This is like you're trying to understand hypergeometry.
Gotcha. So just pure insight. Okay.
But you can also say, I don't really want to know. That is an option.
Do. Yeah. It's my engineering sort of nature. So I rolled a 6, which, I guess ticks my insight up again.
Wow. This gets you everything and something else. I think now you understand. Before that, what O'Neill said, it all sounded, so abstract. But now you understand. You can actually feel something, you feel a presence inside of the satellite. You understand that your consciousness can affect reality around you if you just know the right formula. You know that behind the things is just like vectors. Reality in itself can be reduced to these equations. It's not that you describe reality with equations. Reality is just a series of numbers and symbols. But while you... Oh, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, just sort of cinematically, it's this sort of moment of realization, and I think he turns to O'Neill, and it's just it's they sort of this eyes locking moment where they both understand each other. They just is that fair?
Yeah, that is so fair. And he starts what you would describe as chanting. So he produces a series of sounds that have a certain rhythm to it, and you're now pretty sure, Luke, that he is able to affect reality around him and affect whatever is inside the satellite. But the others, let's say Dirk Macmillan and Deirdre. So Deirdre, you have been obviously observing the astronauts from the portholes, if it's called, like the windows from the mid deck.
I'm probably also monitoring their vitals on.
Yes, you do.
There's a lot of data that comes in from those suits.
You can see that Belton is very, very excited.
I was going to say it's so much more fun to see the live signals and not have the radios. You know what I mean? Like we still have that connection.
So our radios aren't working?
Yeah, mine and Belton's are off, but O'Neill's is still on.
I'm going to say, O'Neill, can you check on Belton? His vitals are elevated.
He. You can, when you check into O'Neill's helmet, you hear. How does it make you feel? He's either crazy or I don't know.
My connection dropped for a second. The last thing I heard is when you check.
Oh, you didn't hear my singing?
No, I didn't. Sorry.
Oh, I'm not repeating it, but he's chanting, and it sounds otherworldly.
And this is Belton doing this?
No, this is O'Neill.
O'Neill, what the fuck are you doing?
Is that an insight check? I mean, hearing the
feel like
language
this
of
is an insight
hypergeometry.
check.
Yeah.
Macmillan, you see something, a distortion between you and the satellite. Like in front of the satellite near the actuator plate, there's like a folding of space where the background that you would normally see is almost as if you're looking through a kaleidoscope, but one that is not symmetric. It seems to unfold into perspectives that are impossible, and these distortions move, but they don't move according to, like, if it was just a smear on the windshield, for example, it would move differently. It always moves with a purpose.
Yeah. I'm gonna roll an insight die.
Mm-hmm.
That is a 2. So I actually don't increase insight, but Macmillan sees this, and he's staring at it, and I think it is the most beautiful thing he's ever seen, right? And he looks at it, and he thinks to himself, going into space was the right idea.
Yeah, it is beautiful in its own sense. It is very outlandish or otherworldly, but it is beautiful.
Yeah, he is not. I think that it's been a hard few days, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now, his brain is just kind of blocking out all of this scary stuff, and he's just going to take it in.
Mm-hmm. The only slightly unnerving thing is that it seems to have some kind of agency. Like, it's not moving, it's not floating, or it's not. It is moving towards the space shuttle.
Towards our space shuttle?
Yeah, there's no other space shuttle.
That's not good. I call over. Macmillan is actually going to call over Deirdre, and he's going to say, "Hey, Martin, can you come over here? Can you look out here?" And he's blinking a lot when she walks over, trying to find out if this is all in his head or what.
Okay, and what do I see?
You see a collection of angles that distorts the stars. It does not, it has nothing to do with anything you've ever seen before. And it is, as I said, it moves with a purpose.
It's a collection of angles moving with a purpose.
Yeah. And
well, it's like you see that there is like a vector shape, let's say, of angles distorting the space behind it, and it moves towards the space shuttle.
Yeah. I'm going to roll for insight.
Mm-hmm.
That is a 4, so that is higher than what I currently have, and I will increase my insight. What kind of information do I get from that?
Well, it reveals something about the shape of space that you normally don't get from studying Newton's laws or something. If you watch an apple fall down, you get like an intuitive feeling, oh, this is gravity. If you look at these things, you get the intuitive feeling, oh, wow, there are more dimension of space than just 3.
Can I, as weird as this sounds, is there any way for me to detect whether this shape moving toward us has any kind of malign purpose or intent?
You could open your mind to the thing.
I mean, how could that go wrong? So that's just insight die?
Yeah, this is not within human capabilities.
That's a 5.
And that is all and something extra. So it is not malign. It is not even conscious in the traditional sense. It is something. It's like a virus is alive, so not really alive. It is not really conscious. It is something hungry for patterns of meaning. It seems to feed on, information.
Mm-hmm.
And the extra is it will definitely dissolve you into goo when you touch it.
Okay.
So with that in mind, do either Macmillan or I know how to move the shuttle?
Well, Macmillan is the pilot.
So
Okay. So I'm going to look at this and say, Macmillan, can you adjust our trajectory to get us out of the way of that thing? Whatever the fuck it is. Because you're not just, it's not you. I'm seeing something unusual too. I'm seeing some sort of phenomena. I would like to get out of its way.
yeah, Macmillan nods slowly. He says, "Yeah, I think that would be a good idea." And he turns on the thrusters to try and remaneuver the ship. He is going to patch into O'Neill's headset again, and say, "We're moving the shuttle. Do not be alarmed. We will stop, at your trajectory."
Yeah, you hear chanting as a reply.
Yeah, and I'm gonna roll an insight die for that chanting. And that is a 3. So I think that O'Neill's connection is a little bit choppy, and I can just sort of hear the chanting coming in and out, and I just can't tell what it is, and I think, well, I told him.
Nice. So outside, before the shuttle changed its course, Spey and Belton, you see that the space shuttle is moving away from you. I mean, what do you do?
Stay on mission. We gotta wait for O'Neill to finish off. We got no comms. We got no whatever. He's busy. I'm looking at Weintraub, waiting for him to die, basically.
So O'Neill, who stops with a chanting and gets onto comms with Capcom, which obviously neither Belton nor Spey will hear, but Macmillan and Martin will hear. And O'Neill says, activate the kill switch for Weintraub. And Woolwich says, it's done. Meanwhile, yeah, I think it's more interesting to see what Macmillan and Martin are doing with the space shuttle. So you're trying to evade the derivative. That is what O'Neill called it probably in the airlock before you left. He said there's a slight chance of the artifact within the satellite folding space in that way that it could form a derivative. But I think I want to see a roll for trying to evade the creature.
Of course.
And
No, please.
Does anybody think that failure would be interesting?
Hell yes.
Yeah, of course. Interesting.
Will, are you rolling?
Sure, I'll roll. I'll roll the blue one.
Okay, and I will roll 2 because I'm a pilot and I'm skilled in this, and I will also roll insight. And that is a 6.
Wow.
On the green.
Well, you did it. So yeah, Macmillan's a pilot.
So you even get something extra and insight into the reality behind the veil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you find a trajectory. You realize at a certain point you cannot avoid the derivative. Not if you move through, the 3 dimensions of space that you normally move through. So you find some kind of angle or trajectory that is completely outside of the normal parameters of such a flight. And it's definitely odd that you're able to do this.
Yeah. I think that for Mike and Luke, sort of watching the shuttle maneuver.
Yeah, how does that look like? Exactly.
It is in. So can Mike and Luke see the derivative in space time folding over?
Yes, I haven't mentioned it, but so you have seen it when you look back at the space shuttle. You haven't seen it leaving the satellite. I think I haven't described that, but you can definitely see it when you realize that the space shuttle is changing course.
As we're staring, as Weintraub probably like chokes out or whatever, right? Like,
yes,
right next to me, and I'm staring, and then like I catch the reflection of just the space shuttle moving in his visor, and I'm like, what the? And then we see the whole thing, and I think we should roll insight for the thing, right? But I imagine what it looks like is that Macmillan is flying in like a pattern that makes no sense for the movement of the derivative either. It's almost like you're flying towards it at one point, and then you both veer off, and it just seems to be like synchronistic. Like
synchronicity.
Yeah.
And
I think Josh wanted.
Yeah, I think that the light around the shuttle itself is bending in strange ways. Like you could. It does not look like it looks like it is being sort of pulled into this, like it is like it's a drawing on a piece of cloth, and you're just folding it over.
Nice.
But then it sort of pops back into real space, and all of a sudden it seems a lot more three-dimensional, and it seems a lot more regular, and it does a pretty controlled and a pretty normal burn, and it sort of slows to your guys' movement speed.
I mean, I didn't go up in insight. I was just, thank God Macmillan's in there. I can count on him.
I did go up in insight in that piloting check. So, yeah.
Where's your insight at?
My insight is now at 4.
Okay, cool.
So I felt something pulling on the yoke while I was trying to steer, and I could just feel the physics of it not being what they should.
So at this point, O'Neill stops the chanting. Weintraub has had this convulsion and is now just floating in space. And O'Neill turns around to you, Belton, and he mouths, while another derivative leaves the satellite and moves towards Belton and Spey.
So I have to confess, I did not understand what he mouthed. I think I don't know if your camera is pretty dark. I don't know if you mouthed it and I couldn't see it.
Yeah, he I'm trying to simulate that I'm in space as well.
Gotcha.
So he mouthed, "I'm sorry." And this folding of space moves towards Belton and Spey, while O'Neill is trying to get to the shuttle. What do you do?
I mean, it moves towards the dead guy, right? Like, pretty much.
It does not. It seems to move towards you.
Oh, Christ.
Is this O'Neill like basically pushing them in the way of a bus?
Yes, he's trying to save his own sorry ass and get to the shuttle.
I mean, if it helps Belton, as soon as Weintraub is gone, and I see O'Neill move for this, and this derivative thing is, I will be kicking off for it as well. Like running for going for the shuttle. Although Because it's coming towards me, not Belton, right? So I wouldn't stick around.
It moves towards the two of you. I think it will be like a roll to see who's making it.
Okay, I grab. I just go to arm to Belton, like to the shuttle, and we're both fast. We'll be both way faster than
O'Neill, who is not trained at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have to ask, though, I guess, so, with regards to the mission and the satellite, I haven't made any impact, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. I haven't actually completed the mission. And I guess that's what I'm wrestling with, right?
You have the... Oh, you're gone?
Go ahead. No, please.
Yeah. You don't know what he did. You don't really know if he repaired it by doing, or powered it down. But yeah,
Okay.
it could be frustrating from your perspective because you don't know. You were expecting something lighting up. Or
in the moment, it seems to me that the only logical conclusion you can come up with is, what did they want you for? It was to die out here, right?
Gotcha.
So is that what he wants you to do? Is the mission finished if you don't die, if someone else doesn't die out here? Because two people were intended to die out here, weren't they, originally? Like,
that makes sense.
As far as we know. And by the way, Spey, his only mission is getting you back to that shuttle. That's it.
So I think I would exchange looks with you, Spey, and as I see you kick off, I would follow suit and kick off.
Nice. And if as Puckett has pointed out, O'Neill would be the second person if that's what you really believe. But he's also the only person who understands this fully. But yeah.
So let's have a roll. This is you're trying to pilot the MMUs, and I will roll against you.
Who should go first?
I rolled a 2, so that's not too bad. Will, what don't you roll?
Okay, I'll include the insight die. Seems appropriate. But I get a 6, so I make it.
Nice.
Okay.
Do I have to roll insight on a 6? Yeah, I think I do.
No.
Let me just quickly do that. That's a 1. I'm fine. I keep it cool.
Okay, cool. And
okay. And same deal. Going to go ahead and also include an insight. And ooh, my insight beats my my regular.
And
die.
you obviously beat the 2, so you need to make an insight roll. So I think it's probably just the stress of being followed by this otherworldly creature that is unfolding into dimension that shouldn't exist.
It does not beat my current insight score, the reroll.
Nice. Yeah, you keep it together.
Yeah.
So Macmillan, you see that Belton and Spey, they rush past O'Neill. O'Neill, who is pretty clumsily trying to pull himself.
On my 6, can I grab O'Neill?
Oh yes, the extra bit. This is true.
Because I wouldn't leave someone to die out here, even if he deserved it.
Oh, you grab O'Neill to take him in. I thought you grab O'Neill to throw him towards the derivative.
No, I don't care about any of this. If it would save us, I would do it, but I would probably throw myself in front of it first, right?
Nice.
So I'd rather grab him.
Awesome. So Macmillan, you see that the 3 of them return. You can even pilot the shuttle so that you intercept them a little bit. But you're 100% sure that because this beautiful folding of space that is behind them will also reach the space shuttle. So for you, the decision it's either all of them, all the 4, or none of them. So Macmillan would have to, do you stay on course to intercept them and accept that these creature will enter the space shuttle, or do you abort the mission?
Macmillan is gonna look. Macmillan is not going to abort the mission. He won't leave him.
Cool. So we can see Spey and Belton. Belton reaching probably the bay first. The airlock is still open, and Spey and O'Neill behind them. This creature will enter the space shuttle through the cone at the front of the space shuttle. And you can look through your window and see that the cone is what's it called? Like it's changing shape while the creature is moving through. It's deformed for a time, but after it passed through the cone, it returns to its original shape. And Martin, you can also see that the lights are flickering for a moment. So the lights go out for a split second. You hear that the engine in the lower deck whines a little bit, and then the light flickers on again. So I think Belton, Spey, and O'Neill are in the airlock by now. And Martin, you can see this shape in the what's it called, mid bay, trying to unfold itself before you. What do you do?
Can I run from it? Is there any place I can go?
So you could run to the flight deck, I guess.
I'm going to go find Macmillan. Maybe we can pilot away from this thing. I mean, it's unfolding in 3-dimensional and 4 or 5 or 6-dimensional space or whatever. Maybe Macmillan can do some of the piloting stuff that he just did to get us away from the last one.
I agree. I think that so there's probably is something on the ship controls that says, airlock sealed.
Yes.
And I think that when that happens, Macmillan is going to start the throttle. Because hopefully, right, he's gonna hope that these things are not connected to physical space in the way that, a person is. And that when this ship moves, the thing will just pass right through the ship, hopefully.
It'll stay in place?
Yeah, it'll stay in place. Because it is static, and the ship is moving around it.
I don't think that you can outrun it with a space shuttle. That is not a roll that you can make. What you can do is try to float away from it when it tries to touch you. That's the only option I see. So I think that the creature will actually see Martin floating towards the upper deck, the flight deck, and it will turn to the airlock. And move through the airlock and is now in the airlock. And it will try to grab either Spey, Belton, or O'Neill. What do you do?
I mean, in the airlock? It's in the airlock now?
Yes.
There's nothing. I mean, we have to wait for the airlock to cycle, don't we? We can't possibly.
The only thing that you could do is maybe try to maneuver one of the others towards it. It is a tiny, tiny space.
Could they open the outer airlock door? Like grab onto something and maybe try to blow it into space? Like carjacking decompression?
It doesn't seem like these are. It's like a weird distortion in space, right? Because I don't think I can hit it. It's
It's not affected by.
It just came through the wall of the ship at us, right? It's just like
Right.
I leap in front of Belton.
And to do what?
To protect him.
Oh wow! And Belton, do you let that happen? Is it an opposed roll, or is it just Space sacrificing himself?
I think yes. Gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I think
fine.
Luke is just still so, I guess, still just sort of comprehending. That's probably the best way to, you know what I mean? It's like I don't think he would. I don't think he would.
You're frozen with this. Like, what the fuck is this? Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, I don't know who got the insight that this could potentially liquefy us, but that's unknown to Luke, right? Just sort of the absurdity of the situation is what he's sort of like still processing. So he doesn't know what this thing can do. He knows that it looks weird, and he's really just following Mike's lead. So if Mike, jumps in front of him, I don't think he's going to really be able to sort of respond timely to that.
Out of curiosity, is O'Neill doing anything?
O'Neill is definitely chanting again, trying to manipulate the thing to not attack him, probably. But Spay, you know the rules for combat in Cthulhu Dark.
I do indeed. My main question was whether or not Belton was going to just kick O'Neill in front of us both.
Or sacrifice himself.
Exactly. But I don't think that that's something that Spay would do, even here.
And so Spay starts to disintegrate almost immediately. So where this weird vectors in space touch Spay, he is decomposed into like a slurry almost, but it is within the spacesuit. So you don't. The spacesuit is still completely, intact. But you can see that Spay is starting to shake, and then through the visor you can see parts of his face is melting, and then after a relatively short time, it is just this slush of pink goo.
That sounds like an insight check to me. Surely.
I mean, I don't know. Yes, that does sound like an insight check.
Okay. Sorry, just go into the sheet. Here we go. And it's just a straight up insight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a 6.
So you increase your insight by 1.
Yes.
How high is your insight now?
Oh, now it's a 5.
So at 5, you're at the brink of your total collapse. But you could reduce your insight by destroying like proof of these supernatural going-ons.
Killing O'Neill.
Yeah.
Which is probably the only option that I see.
That's, I could go that way. I guess the other way that I was thinking was that he had this, that is Luke had this moment of sort of recognition with O'Neill. And I guess the other direction that I could take this in, you said that O'Neill was in the airlock chanting.
Yes.
Could Luke basically, it's almost sort of this moment where he's starting to hum the chant and he's mumbling the words and trying to, and this is like, becoming one of them essentially. I mean, is that?
Yes, that is definitely something that is very reasonable. So what you're trying is not destroying proof of the supernatural. You're becoming one of it.
Yes.
You become one of the So in that moment when you're singing, and the singing of O'Neill starts to synchronize, it all everything makes sense all of a sudden. You realize that, I mean, you had the realization before, but now it's more you're part of it. You feel that you are a collection of vectors in Hilbert space, and that reality around you is, like a paint on, I don't know, some cheap carnival ride.
Do we have cameras in the airlock? Do we have radio contact again or anything like that?
You can see through the, if you would go down to the mid bay, you could see what's going on in the airlock.
Okay.
The mid deck it's called.
Yeah.
And you have radio with O'Neill, and O'Neill obviously picks up the chanting from Belton as well.
I think I'm going to walk down and check this out and see what's going on. And then go back to the flight deck and say, Macmillan, can you blow the airlock?
Can I blow the airlock? Is there an option to blow the airlock on the spaceship console?
Yeah, I want to say yes, you can open the airlock.
You'd be killing Belton, though.
Would be killing Belton.
Do we care at this point? Because Belton just let Spade die and is now buying into this. And it's, I mean, we have learned a hell of a lot about all of this stuff.
That's true.
I'm looking at this and it's like, listen, I am enraged that a good commander sacrificed himself for this bullshit, that we were sent up here to die. And
what would Spay want you to do?
You know, at this point, Spay is not entering into my concerns because Spay is a Slurpee. My concern right now is I want this shit off of the ship. I want it loose in space, dying. I want to go home and forget any of this ever happened after I punch someone in the face.
Macmillan, you go onward through with this, and you don't have any regrets killing Belton.
Yeah. Macmillan is, he looks at Deirdre and he says, fine. And he depressurizes the airlock.
Belton, you feel yourself when the airlock. You can see that the atmosphere is leaving the airlock again, and you know that the airlock will blow open in a couple of minutes. You still have radio contact.
I think it would just, I know where the camera is, obviously, in the airlock, and I would just sort of, it's that sort of cinematic scene is just sort of pounding on the door, pounding on the camera, and just...
Well, before that happened, this folding in space moves away from O'Neill and Belton and moves, back to the mid deck, and then we see the cinematic opening of the airlock, and Belton, the remaining of Spay and O'Neill are sucked out of it. Macmillan, you are probably trying to fly back to Earth. Is that your...
Yes. Yeah.
So the last moments of the session of today is what is Martin doing? Is strapping yourself in probably next to Macmillan, I assume.
Yeah, I'm assuming co-pilot duties to the extent that I'm capable. Like basically Macmillan telling me, hey, hit this one at this time.
Yes. You see in the reflection on one of the screens before you the folding of space moving from the ladder. Do you stay and hope that you can outrun it?
Can we? So this shuttle, right? How?
Yes.
Where does the shuttle detach, right? In the hypothetically, because I assume that the way that this would actually land, right, and re-enter, is that the nose of the shuttle detaches and then that re-enters Earth.
No, the whole
No, no,
shuttle.
no.
It-
The whole shuttle?
Yeah,
Yeah,
whole
it's
we're
technology
talking
like
about the
like a
space
plane.
shuttle. It lands like a plane.
Oh, it's a space plane, not a shuttle. Got it. Never
No,
mind.
no,
yeah,
that's
it's
what a
not-
shuttle is. It's not a rocket. It's a shuttle.
Yeah, we're not talking about like an Atlas here where we've got the capsule that we can detach and blow off and land in the Pacific or
All
whatever.
right. Well, that was my plan, was leave them
Yeah.
all behind. So that doesn't work.
What occurs to me is that I think that these things can move at their own volition, right? But that means that you can move around them. You know what I mean? Like it's like a fixed point in space that moves, and you can move. So like it's not being stopped by the things, but you could maybe move around it. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. I may be wrong on that score, of course, but
It seems wrong.
No.
It's so
then I don't know what you're going to do.
the closer you get to Earth, it seems to lose its volume. So, Deirdre, you think that if you could buy Macmillan maybe 2 or 3 minutes more, the thing would probably be flattened out by Earth's gravity.
Okay.
I say Macmillan.
Yeah, Macmillan turns to you.
I'm going to try to make it back. If I don't, it's been an honor serving with you. And I want you to promise me something.
What?
Make my ex-husband's life a fucking hell on earth.
Yeah, and he can't help but laugh, as scared as he is.
And I will unbuckle and proceed to try to outrun something that exists outside of space and apparently time.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see that it almost blocks the ladder going down to the mid bay. So you can probably, shoot past it, maybe. Or
This
you
is
can.
the worst game of tag ever.
I know. Or you can try to block it, probably.
I'm going to try to shoot past it and see if it'll follow me.
All right. Roll your die. And I will roll against you,
I'm going to roll insight as well.
obviously. I got a 1.
I got a 4 on the green die.
Nice. So you shoot past it, and when it turns around, and you again get the feeling of like curious hunger and purpose when it moves towards you. But the closer you get to Earth, and you now feel the space shuttle shaking, obviously entering atmosphere, you can see it starting to flatten. So its angles get closer to what you are used to in 3 dimensions. But you definitely need to get into one of these chairs.
Is it flat enough and moving slowly enough that I feel safe doing so?
You feel at least that you have saved Macmillan, that is for sure.
Can I go any further back into the shuttle and still strap into something for landing?
I think probably you've left the sleeping bags that are attached to the side of the computer thing, the rack. Maybe you can climb inside that.
Would that be far enough from the thing to give me a chance of surviving?
Yes.
Then I will do that.
Okay, last roll for tonight. I will see if it gets to you before Earth gravity flattens it out.
Do I get to roll?
Yes, of course.
All right. Go ahead and roll. Let me know what I got to beat.
A 4.
God damn it. 6 on the green die.
Ooh, nice. So you climb into the sleeping bag. Probably close up, you can see over the over the edge, and just when it is in front of your nose, it completely disappears. And we see from the outside the space shuttle, landing in Cape Canaveral, probably on the airstrip. And what do we see? The last shot of Deirdre and Dirk.
I walk right up to Woolrich and I punch him in the nose, breaking it. Blood splatters everywhere.
Yeah, he holds his nose, the blood running down his hands.
And Dirk, when Dirk climbs out of the shuttle, I think he just collapses onto the ground. Because he was piloting alone for the whole thing, he had no co-pilot. I think it was a very stressful trip back to Earth. And he just passes out.
Yeah, there is a letter in, delivered to Rachel, and it's just, it's like the letter that he writes before he goes off on the mission, kind of thing, and it just says, I hope you'll be happy together. He'll look after you.
Oh, wow.
And that's it. Neither of us came back.